Hey, Trailblazers, we have some exciting news here at the Trailblazing Texas podcast. We have partnered up with Hilltop Packs, not just because they make amazing ultralight gear, but because they're a small family run business doing huge things for our hiking and backpacking community. Every food bag, dry sack, fanny pack that you order can be completely customized. Print your trail name, your dog's face, your favorite mountain, or really whatever inspires you. When you shop at Hilltop Packs, you're not only buying gear that you're absolutely going to love, but you're supporting real families, real jobs, and small town craftsmanship. So head over to hilltoppacks.com and use code TTP10 to get 10% off of your order. Now on with the episode. Welcome to the Trailblazing Texas podcast, where we embark on a journey through our diverse Texas landscapes and breathtaking trails while always engaging with our amazing Texas hiking community. So settle in, tighten up those bootlaces, and get ready for the thrilling tales awaiting for you on this episode. So, what kind of wildlife should visitors expect in the park?
We got quite a few out here. Of the two types of foxes found in Texas, or at least this part of Texas, we got both of them. There's red and gray foxes out here. We have a wide range of woodpeckers found throughout here. Lots of snakes. I found a coral snake on one of our trails last week. That was fun. Definitely cottonmouths and water snakes in the pond itself. Plenty of deer as well. We're actually neighbors to the National Forest, and because the National Forest offers public deer hunts, but our state park doesn't, a lot of the deer will actually sometimes seek shelter in the park. And so there's always quite a few deer you'll see out here. The occasional hogs, but hogs are, well, they're pretty widespread throughout Texas. You'll hear coyotes howling at night. We get lots of really beautiful birds that pass through both in the spring and the winter. Lots of vireos and warblers and buntings. We get a lot indigo buntings during the summer. And in the Navadachi Prairie, we get a very wide range of sparrows and wrens. It's a birdwatcher's paradise back there. And of course, lots of spiders. Lots of spiders.
So, are there any specific times of the year where you think the park is at its best, most beautiful?
Man, there's actually multiple times of the year where the park is beautiful in its own way. A lot of people, they know about the flowering dogwoods out here, and we also have several eastern redbuds. In the spring, they just add so much beauty to it. But right now is actually a gorgeous time. Beginning of December, we have a whole grove of southern maples, like flame-like red coloration that you can see on the Fire Tower Hill. And there's just so many different times. And whenever we are able to get snow out here, that's also just a magical time. But snow makes, especially fresh snow, just makes everything just look absolutely gorgeous.
So, what is your favorite time in the park?
I would actually say right now, with the weather kind of cooling off a little bit, it certainly makes hiking the trails a bit easier. I mean, as the interpreter, I take a lot of photos that I like to post to our park social media, and being able to be in the park during golden hour is very, very awesome. In fact, I'm looking for a good time when the sun comes out, and I want to get a very good photo of the maple grove right next to our tall grass prairie. And when the sun hits this one area that's right over this hill, and all the leaves, like you can just see this golden canopy right over you, it's beautiful. And it really is some of my favorite vistas that I've ever seen.
And kind of, we were talking about activities in the park. What about fishing, paddling? I know there is, if I can remember correctly, and I don't remember the name of the creek. And then I believe there was a pond I need to pull up my map.
You are correct on both. You're correct on both counts. Funnily enough, the trail I just told you about with the maples and all that, that's actually called the San Pedro Spur, and it's named after the creek, which is San Pedro Creek.
That's
and
what it is.
It empties into the Neches River, and there is fishing in the park, especially the pond that you mentioned. It was actually dammed up by the CCC, and they created the spillway there. And that's our main fishing area. It does have some pretty healthy sunfish populations. There's largemouth bass and channel catfish in there. The creek itself, it's pretty feast or famine from what I've noticed. Either people are not having a lot of luck or they're having all the luck. In the creek, since it ties into the Neches, it can bring in some new species. Like we've had some spotted bass in the creek, which was really fascinating to me. And we also had, long-eared sunfish. There's a lot of mad toms in the pond as well, which that's a really interesting type of really tiny catfish, and all sorts of, suckers and red horse and things like that in the creek. But it all just kind of depends on the water levels. But as for paddling and all that, I'm afraid, there isn't really any of that in the park. We do have the fishing, but in terms of swimming or paddling, the park does not offer that, I'm afraid. Pretty good river nearby.
So that San Pedro Creek, when that trail terminates, I would assume that your park pass doesn't qualify. Like you would still need a fishing license because that section is or is not part of the park?
Well, that section is part of the park, and on the other side of the creek is also park property. It's just the fact that it can empty into the Neches, but so long as people are just fishing in that one area, they're well within state park boundaries and all that.
Nice.
So,
all right, let me move my map real quick. Talking about activities, camping, what types of camping does the park offer?
Well, we have several types of camping available at Mission Tejas. We have everything from just regular tent camping in several of our campsites. We also have RV sites, which are actually part of the renovations that just came in. A lot of the pull-ins for the RVs have been lengthened. So we do have a handful of those. And we have about a half dozen primitive hike-in campsites that we also have in the park. And we have a lot of people who, whenever they get set up out here, they like to ask like, hey, do y'all have any like options for like groups or anything like that? And we actually do. We have one main group campsite, which is right next to our day use area. A lot of scout groups love to camp out there. And there's even a primitive group site as well, for if you're wanting to really kind of rough it a bit, you can head out there, and it's a kind of a much larger space, and you got benches, you got the grills. But right as of now, funnily enough, I just see all these RVs just driving through our parking lot because it's going to be a busy weekend.
Nice. So to the listeners, I know I think I've said it before, but I've been out to the primitive camp loop. It was, I think it was probably about 2 years ago. And I mean, literally, it's not even, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not even a mile, I think, from the parking to get out to the primitive loop. So if you want to, or thinking about getting into backpacking outside of this park, and I know that I've talked about this, having tons of trails, and you can practice your map reading and connecting this trail to this trail gives an opportunity to really become more confident in your skills and these types of things. But again, backpacking, primitive loop, it's not even a mile. You can get out there. If something doesn't go right, it's just a short walk to pack up and head back. But this park, it's a hidden gem, and it definitely especially for someone that's getting into this lifestyle that we all love. It's just a spectacular park to do some of these things. So yeah, that's I had a plan. I was going to take my mom out to the primitive campsite, and she's like, nope. and then I had a Facebook poll, like, how many people think she will do it and not do it, and everybody said yeah, she's not doing it, and she definitely did not do it. So next question, what do you think is the most important thing that visitors should know before they come out to the park?
Well, there's a few things. For any East Texas locals who have yet to come out to Mission Tejas, I will say the trails here are quite a bit more varied in topography than you may be used. East Texas being the headquarters is about at the highest point in terms of elevation in the park, and as you go on, it just kind of keeps getting lower and lower because there's a lot of creek drainages and things like that. Obviously, we got snakes out here, and if you're walking around in the Texas heat or anything like that, you're likely to encounter these shy slithery serpents. But also there's cell signal can be a little iffy here and there, so definitely keep that in mind. But I honestly think that one of the most important things to know when you visit Mission Tejas is that you're walking in a place that, obviously everywhere you walk, other people have already been there, but the sheer amount of the diversity of peoples that passed through Mission Tejas and all the stories that they brought with them, the experiences that they went through, particularly if you're walking on El Camino Real, you're quite literally walking in the footsteps of people who have been either calling Mission Tejas home in whatever name they happened to be giving it, or passing through. And it's a really, really good thing to know is like how a lot of people say when they come out here is they are amazed by how it can feel really secluded sometimes. I mean, you got homes like all over the place. You got a pretty major state highway just right at the entrance, but the second you get off in those woods and it just gets so quiet, it's a really great place to be if you're wanting to kind of, step in the footsteps of people who came before and have a place where you can maybe find, a little bit of solitude, if you especially pick the right places.
Does your park, I can't remember, have the biggest pine or the oldest pine tree or something like that?
We most certainly do not have the oldest pine out here. We do have quite a few pines that actually did make it through the timber industry that kind of affected the area in the late 1800s, early 1900s. But quite a few of our pines actually, especially around the Rice family log home, were actually planted by the CCC. So, they're about that age, but there are a few hardwoods, and obviously we got the century pine on the Lightning Trail that kind of serve as reminders of what the trees used to be out here and what we hope they very well can be.
I think that's what it is, the century pine, because I remember I hiked up to it and there was signs around it, or and I just couldn't remember what it was. That was pretty cool.
It's a very, very impressive specimen of a tree.
Yeah, absolutely. So are there any, if you can kind of think about your time at the park, any leave no trace reminders that are especially important for Mission Tejas? Maybe kind of anything that you see that visitors can improve on, or maybe some of the important ones that are important to you.
Oh boy. So, all right. Welcome to the Ranger venting session.
Yes, please.
Well, I'll keep it pretty, keep it pretty laid back. One thing I've noticed, I have seen At the pond, there are quite a few overhanging branches, the pines and the maples, and the black willow that we have at the pond. I definitely, every few weeks, I see a new bobber up in a tree, which has a little something to remember. First off is, obviously whenever you're casting, you obviously want to make sure no one's behind you, but you want to make sure that you're clear in terms of the branches so you don't accidentally create a new Christmas tree. No. But the more insidious thing is actually the fishing line that sometimes we find out there, not just at the pond, but also at the creek area. And fishing line in particular, that's something that really doesn't go away with it being like so clear and all that. It's kind of easy for us to miss it, but that's just a general thing. Like whenever you go fishing anywhere, always make sure you do your best to take your discarded line with you that you probably cut with your teeth, even though we all know we're not supposed to do it, but we all do it. Yeah. And our dentists both admonish us and their wallets are thankful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, just also at the picnic tables, just probably make sure you put your trash in the dumpster. The Mission Tejas State Park is one of the few state parks I know of that does not have a significant raccoon problem, and I think we want to leave it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was at Lake Brownwood State Park on my way up when I did this recent trip to Copper Breaks and Caprock. I stayed there and visited a little bit with the superintendent there, Nikki, dropped off some stickers. And the campsite that I was at, I don't ever usually build a fire because usually by the time I get back, I'm so tired from hiking that I just jump in the tent. But, I was packing up that next morning and looked, and in the fire ring, there was like so much, there was literally about 80 cigarette butts in the fire ring. And trash. And I have a picture I can send you. There's 80. So, I cleaned it all out and I'm just like, come on, guys, don't leave your trash. Go throw it away. When you get to these places, have a goal of trying to leave it better than when you got there. Not the same, but better. And, I even made a PSA video about it.
May have to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I said a couple of cuss words, so,
Oh, dear.
So
it's an after hours special.
That's right. Kind of talking about the trails. Are they pets allowed, dog friendly?
Oh, absolutely. Pets are most certainly allowed in the park. We have a lot of people who love to bring their dogs out here. Obviously, we just ask people to keep them on a leash, but that is that's just the policy for state parks in general. But absolutely, we love seeing people bring their dogs out here. And I like to actually keep a tally on how many different dogs I see out here. I've seen everything from little chihuahuas to massive deer hounds and things like that. It's just really cool to have out here. And we're actually probably considering, we're putting together a bark ranger program, which a few other state parks here in Texas have already done a fantastic job trailblazing that initiative. And we're pretty keen on throwing our hat in the ring as well with that.
Is that where the shelters come out and bring dogs that are in the shelter to kind of walk around?
It's more like, so how a lot of state parks have something like a junior ranger journal where, they do all that. This is more for dog owners, showing that they are, they're being smart with their dogs. Obviously you're not talking about how hot concrete can get during the summer and, making sure your dogs are on a leash, making sure you're bringing water for them. And there's little things that you can add to the dog's collar, showing that y'all have worked through that. And Dangerfield State Park definitely was one of the earlier state parks that actually helped kind of bring that initiative into Texas. Many other states had already done it, but we're keen on bringing that out here as well.
Nice. So this is your time to brag a little bit. Any annual events, special programs that either you put together or involved with, or that the park that you feel that are pretty important for the listeners to know about and maybe even come out and attend?
Absolutely. Well, I will say one of the events that we're most proud of is a recurring annual event. We call it the Folk Festival, and it takes part on around the last weekend of April, which whatever dates that falls under for the year. It's a fantastic time. We got folks, everyone from people representing what life was like for the pioneers passing through Texas, everything from like Dutch oven cooking to skinners to the Buffalo Soldiers to even live music, where we have a group come out and they play music right on the Rice Family Log Home, and sometimes we even have a barbecue truck come out, and it's a really great event, and it's something that we've been doing for quite a while, and it's something that we really enjoy putting on. Aside from that, I had mentioned it earlier. Tomorrow we have one of our holiday events coming up where it's Tejas ornaments, or basically we are taking little wooden cross sections and little metal pins, and people will be able to paint those like whatever scene is very significant for them. They can decorate their Christmas trees with that, or their stockings, or what have you. And also, most state parks, January 1st, the first day hikes. That's also another major thing. We get quite a decent crowd when they come out. And yeah, we try to do programs every Saturdays, everything from just a night hike to watercolors to, explorer hikes or things like that. I'm personally very much looking forward to whenever we can get a good, clear sky, putting out the telescopes or the star charts, and we can look at the stars, which Mission Tejas is fantastic for stargazing.
Nice. All right. So, in your expertise at Mission Tejas, I want to hear a day itinerary for someone that's never been to the park. How should they spend their? Let's give them an 8-hour day at the park.
8-hour day. First of all, you can swing by the headquarters and absolutely come to the visitor center if you want a little crash course on what the major story of Mission Tejas is and all the people that have passed through. It's has very interesting and very important tales to tell about everyone from the Caddo people who lived nearby to the Spanish explorers to the American settlers to the CCC workers who helped make the park what it is today. It's a very good kind of introductory crash course to the park's history. And right by the visitor center, we've got the Rice Family Log Home, which is a very short walk away or a very short drive away. I'm talking like it's like a minute walk, just right through some trees. It's a fantastic example of 19th century log home that pioneers would have built when they were first settling here. And the story of the Rice Family Log Home in and of itself, that is just another fantastic just way of talking about all the hardships and challenges that people had to go through when they were first settling out here. Then you can make your way down into the park. There's quite a few ways that your journey can spread. There is a trailhead right by the Rice Family Log Home. If you want to just walk the entire way, you can take the Big Pine Trail down several flights of stairs and across several bridges, and that will land you over in the day use area where there's a group pavilion. There's restrooms available, a little playground for your kids, and there's also the pond, the part of the Tejas Timber Trail there. Or from the Rice home, you can take the Fire Tower Trail and visit the remains of the old Forest Service fire tower. And you can take the Carl Lovett Memorial Trail all the way down to the camping loops. And you can go up another set of stairs, and boom, you're right there at the commemorative mission. You can either drive down to the mission if you want to. There's parking there. And then you can take San Pedro Spur up to the Nabadache Loop, where you can see a very different vista from most of the park. It's a tall grass prairie. And if you just head to the right when the trail splits, there's several swells of El Camino Real available there. If you're interested in history, you can keep on heading east until you tie into the Chimney Loop. And you can follow that trail back up the hills, and you can find yourself at the remains of the Lucas homestead, where all that remains is a chimney, a swing set, a few cornerstones, and you can see it's a much more recent ruin of sorts of a family of goat farmers that tried to basically create a homestead out there right before the park received the property.
And if you want to get scared, go see that.
You can go see that. You can go see that right when the sun's setting. You feel like, oh, maybe I should get going. No, I'm kidding.
Yep, that's how I felt.
Around what time of the day was it when you came across the old Lucas homestead?
Oh man, it was in the morning. So I spent some time. The sun was up because what was that prairie that has all the yellow flowers? That's beautiful. You just said
it would be Nabadache.
Yes. So I just got there as the sun was coming up, and oh man, to see the sun hit across those flowers, I got some beautiful pictures. And so yeah, I would say it was probably maybe an hour after sun up, and I'm walking, and then I kind of see the chimney, and then you kind of see, I think there were some parts of the fence, and then you have that swing set. Oh man, I got the creeps. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. There's ghosts. I know it. I feel it.
You're just like, when did I step into The Conjuring?
Yes. But it was spectacular. I kind of walked around, looked at the chimney and stuff, and it was pretty cool. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all right. I was saying, if you're trying to walk the entirety of the park, which quite a few people do that, you can actually do it. You can walk the entire perimeter of the park just on the trails. You can basically, at the log home, you take Big Pine and you make a few rides onto Steep Step and Olin Matchett and all that. You can basically take that all the way over to Tejas Timber. Then you can hop across to Chimney Loop using the access trail. You can walk Nabadache, and then you head down Hardwood and see all the bottomlands and the very different types of trees that are down there. And then you hop onto Steep Ravine, and you slowly switch back your way back up to where the height of headquarters is, and then you see headquarters right in front of you. So that's for those who are able to kind of handle all the twists and turns and ups and downs. It's a pretty good way of actually seeing the entirety of the park for those who are able to partake in that.
Yeah, and to the listeners, if you're a hiker, you can definitely hike the whole park, like all the trails. I don't believe any of the trails are really, really way out there, really, really long. So, and if you do catch yourself, something's going on, you can catch another trail and get back to where you need to go. So that I love this park. Again, I've said it probably 1,000 times, especially if you're getting into this. It is absolutely spectacular place. All right. So if you look at yourself and the team that works there, what do you think are the biggest challenges that you guys face in managing such a historical, significant park like this?
Well, there's a few things I can definitely think of. Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of people worry about properties being defaced by visitors or anything like that. But I will say, previous complaints about fishing line aside, our guests are actually, they tend to be very considerate out here. And they definitely do their best to clean up after themselves, and we have very few issues with that. Obviously, the question comes, especially like with the rice home, the question does come where what happens when, there's like a repair that needs to be done. Well, fortunately, we've got a good team of folks down in Houston and Austin who are with the cultural resources people, and they can facilitate repairs and things like that just happen because of old age. One major thing that we try our best to make sure of, though, is in the winter, whenever we do controlled burns, prescribed fire, we absolutely want to make sure that those landmarks are preserved, especially considering, things like the Rice family log home is made of wood. So that's a big concern that we have sometimes, but we work with the fire team whenever they come in, and we communicate, and we make sure that, there's months of prep up ahead of time where, fences are weed eated around and blown off, so there's no fuels right under them. It's mainly just maintaining what is out here, but fortunately for us, like I said, our guests, they tend to be very respectful, and they treat these historical sites and landmarks as places of value. And obviously, the question does come sometimes, like, what happens if a tree like falls down on something like that? Well, that's another thing we watch for. Is we try to make sure that any tree that is right over a historical building is constantly being monitored. And we have pretty talented field staff out here and other field staff that can come out and help if it looks like that there's about to be a problem tree.
So are there any current restoration or preservation projects happening now at the park?
Well, I will say that we do have a few things in the making. We're going to be kind of developing a kind of a new bird watching area. The old bird watching blind that is right next to the fire tower hill, that is one thing that we're looking to do. Is we're going to give that a major facelift, and also kind of make sure the trail is ADA accessible, obviously. Nice. And another thing is, Tejas timber. We are also planning on, when we get all the resources together, and this is actually something that people can look forward to hearing about, is once we get all the resources together, we are actually planning on putting together a volunteer day where everyone can come out and they can help give the old Tejas Timber Trail another facelift as well. So that way we can basically preserve it and make it better than it ever has been before. And that's something that anyone who's living nearby or anyone passing through, they can come out whenever we send the news out. That's something people can absolutely look to do if they want to, if they want to put their own effort into the park, and they want to, give something back to the site that, either they're just visiting or something that has been significant to them for years. That's a fantastic opportunity that people can look forward to.
So speaking of volunteering, how do you think the best way is for the public to get involved? Whether it's, volunteering, making donations, because, some people maybe aren't able to volunteer or support the programs, like really just get connected into the park and all the wonderful things that you all are doing.
Yeah, there's many different things. Like I said, for one thing, we try to do programs every weekend, and that's a great way for people to come out and they can interact with park staff and kind of explore different places or ideas that they may not have much exposure to. It's a good way to kind of help people form a connection with the park and with the history and wildlife out here. In terms of donations, we have a couple of donation boxes like around the front that if anyone wants to give in that way, they're more than welcome to. And we're always looking for volunteers out here. We love, Texas Parks and Wildlife in general. We love volunteers, and everything from saying, hey, I would like to volunteer. I can, blow off the trails, or I can come help with the program. Or if y'all are doing like Folk Fest, I can pass out water, things like that.
So how do you see Mission Tejas evolving over the next 10 years?
Well, there's quite a few things that would be nice. Is this what is likely to happen, or what we would like to happen?
Likely. And then we can do what you would like.
Well, I can see the park definitely in terms of like the interpretive programs that we have. One thing that we really want to continue to grow in is outreach for local communities. Coming out to schools, coming to a library near you, Mission Tejas. Just doing programs and events, and whenever there's like a large event that happens, like over in Crockett, Nacogdoches, Grapeland, things like that, like the nearby towns and cities, just having a presence out there. And as for the park itself, one thing that we very much would like to do is we want to continue to preserve the trails. One thing that we constantly deal with out here, something that our field staff is working hard on, is erosion prevention. That's one thing that we fight with, especially on Tejas Timber and Steep Ravine. People may have noticed like there's a big old pile of dirt near Steep Ravine that's there for in case a lot of erosion happens after a large rain. We can quickly fill that in. And working more on the trails to create like breaks and things like that, where basically the water can flow off of the trails and things like that. And also Nabadache Loop, kind of figuring out a way to do the opposite and make sure Nabadache Loop stays dry, because it is in a floodplain. So that's quite a lot of fun whenever you have major floods out here. And San Pedro Creek gets pretty high. It can get a little swampy. You may just see a frog with a banjo sitting on a log.
Nice. All right. Are you ready for probably the second most important question of the podcast? And we are at the end. Are you ready?
All right, let's hear it.
Sell us the park. You've mentioned over the last hour and a half all the wonderful things about the park. Put it in a package, sell it to the listeners where they're going to hear this and they're going to add it to their bucket list this year, or maybe in 2026 to go out and visit the park, volunteer,
All right, here we go. Well, if you're looking for a park that offers both natural beauty and historical significance, if you want to go to a place where literally the word Texas partly originates from, if you want to basically hike in East Texas and hike on trails that actually have some topography on there, if you're looking for a place where the pine trees sigh in the evenings and you can almost hear just the echoes of the people that have called this place home, the Mission Tejas may very well be the state park for you.
Nice. Love it. Well, Noah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Again, to the listeners, this is one of my favorite state parks. I've been to about 30 of them so far. And again, getting into hiking and backpacking, this is definitely the best, in my opinion, state park to kind of sharpen your skills or understand and see if this is something that you really enjoy. The historical aspect of the park is second to none. So yeah, I mean, this is I can't thank you enough. Thank you for bringing your knowledge of the history to the listeners about the park. I will definitely be out there.
I look forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks again, Noah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
And that wraps up another exciting episode of the Trailblazing Texas podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode today, and stay tuned for our next episode where we will pick back up where we left off and guarantee to uncover many more hiking gems and share many more tips to enhance your experience on the trail. Until then, happy trails and happy hiking.